Number 2 on the charts and number 1 in our hearts, without the juice of Ethereum, we may have never known how flavorful blockchain technology could be. NFTs, decentralized finance, and constant technological innovations are all made possible through Ethereum. So gather around the fire and let's go back to where it all began. But before we get started, I do want to mention that I am not a financial advisor. This content is meant for research and educational purposes only. In 2014, Ethereum was first offered at a price of 30 cents, as one Bitcoin could purchase you 2,000 ETH. And compared to Ethereum's most recent all-time high, this is an increase of 160,000%. But don't let FOMO get the best of you. At this time, Ethereum was still just a speculative bet on Vitalik Buterin, a young Russian-Canadian supercoder, and his team of crypto rebels. Many would not have trusted putting their life savings on the gray and white website and the countdown timers and multiple step authentication. Well, maybe Bored Ape Yacht Club holders, and that turned out pretty well for them. The team of crypto rebels that helped put this together included Dr. Gavin Woods of the Polkadot ecosystem and Charles Hoskinson, founder of Cardano. So why decentralized? There's an interesting story behind the Ethereum blockchain we all know and love. Vitalik felt that the need of decentralized systems after the developer of his favorite video game, World of Warcraft, weakened his favorite character's magic ability. Vitalik himself admits to crying himself to sleep after that incident, vowing to create decentralized technology that could be openly programmable to all, and not only controlled by any one central figure. He felt many systems in the world could benefit from being decentralized and likened centralized companies to Mr. Burns of The Simpsons. And after giving up on his favorite video game, he turned to cryptocurrency full-time, and thus Ethereum was born a few years later. The Ethereum blockchain allows for anyone with the knowledge of the code Solidity to create decentralized applications. And once these decentralized applications are created, even regular people like you and me can use them. Decentralized applications, or dApps, allow for the code to be used as the law, instead of relying on a central figure to govern the tech. Everything is publicly verifiable on the blockchain. If there's ever been something that you have wanted to program or make from art to application, come learn about the wonderful world of Ethereum in our upcoming videos and strike up a conversation with us on Twitter. Having a decentralized protocol with no pesky middlemen to deny or approve your transactions puts the risk and rewards in the hands of those who choose to use the dApps. And where there is great risk, there is great reward. But spooky disclaimers aside, Ethereum has grown into one of the most trusted blockchains in crypto. Other blockchains have tried to claim the ETH killer title, but Ethereum comes out on top each time. Here's some of the chinks in Ethereum's armor that these ETH killers have tried to attack. The first is high fees and congestion. To run a transaction on Ethereum, you need to pay a gas fee. This is to pay for the computational power it takes to process a transaction. This processing is called mining, and those who do this mining are called, well, miners. And instead of using excavation machines and drills, they use GPUs. Gas fees incentivize the miners to process the transactions. And since the London hard fork upgrade, those who tip more get better priority, as the base transaction fee no longer goes to the miner, but instead burns the Ethereum. Burned ETH means ETH that gets sent to a wallet that can no longer be used, and is therefore burned forever. Tipping for priority service on ETH would be like going to a restaurant and getting a table based on how much you're willing to tip the waiter before the meal. And the meal can be a delicious NFT you were waiting to mint, or that new coin you wanted to get in on early. Hard forks, mints, burnt ETH, priority service. Yes, this isn't a restaurant review channel. This is a crypto channel. Although a prolonged bear market may change our direction later on. So as you can expect, when restaurant Ethereum becomes packed, you will need to spend more to get a table. And when it's really packed, you need to really spend more. Anywhere from $20 to thousands of dollars for this transaction to come through first. As you can see, this would upset a lot of patrons who feel Ethereum has priced them out of life-changing money. And this is true as many who participate with such high gas fees either have thousands to spare because they are expecting thousands of dollars in the resale later on and can afford the volatility, or they have purchased Ether for below $100 just a couple years ago. So a 1 ETH transaction fee to them means $100 as opposed to the 3K price or 1 ETH transaction right now. Now let's bring on the ETH killers, crypto market's response to high fees and congestion. Ethereum is known as a layer 1 blockchain, which means that this is the core system and infrastructure in charge of running all of the transactions. This means that when it slows down, every dApp using it slows down as well. And at over 1 million transactions a day, this can happen often. So preying on these weaknesses, new technology has been developed to solve these frustrations, and they have been marketed accordingly. Bring on the ETH killers. So in comes new, younger, sleeker layer 1 blockchain technologies that offer a cheaper and quicker way to do the same thing that Ethereum does. Blockchains like Solana and Avalanche offer separate chains that process transactions secured by their network for just a few bucks or even just a few cents. These chains can process transactions from 10 to 2,800 transactions per second and beyond. The downfall of these chains is that Ethereum security and robustness is not at the base of these protocols, so they have much more to prove as they mature in the coming years before they can claim to be the next ETH killer. We'll talk about each of these in upcoming videos. Now let's talk about layer 2, the branches of the Ethereum tree trunk. There are other technologies known as layer 2, which are built on top of Ethereum, which is a layer 1. The technology is known as rollups. And no, not like those delicious fruit roll-ups we used to eat for lunch, and some of you may still, but these roll-ups still allow us for cheaper ways of getting in on those juicy NFT mints for a much cheaper price. I know, another food reference, must be a bear market, right? Think of Ethereum as the tree trunk and these rollups as the branches. These rollups act like a branch, taking the heavy and expensive computational burden off of Ethereum by effectively rolling up and processing transactions on their layer 2, completing and then sending the completed transaction back to the main Ethereum trunk for proper record on the Ethereum blockchain. Rollups work synergistically with Ethereum, benefiting from its long-standing and proven security and success instead of trying to be the next ETH killer. Even NFT marketplaces like OpenSea and the famous Uniswap trust layer 2s like Optimism and Arbitrum for their speedy and cheap transactions. So let's talk about where Ethereum is now. Ethereum is known for its clogging of the network when it becomes busy, but at over 1 million transactions a day for almost 2 years, it has stood strong as verifiable proof that decentralized technology can succeed. These transactions get bundled into blocks, and the miners of these blocks to the chain, hence blockchain. Each block, and therefore transaction, is processed at about 13 seconds per block. Miners essentially compete with each other to add blocks by solving computational puzzles. These puzzles take up processing power, and the total power consumption of Ethereum is equivalent to the country of Finland. This is known as proof of work, similar to what Bitcoin uses, and we know the environmental concerns that have come from the public outcry led by Elon Musk has done to the image of Bitcoin and therefore crypto. Proof of work has worked well with Ethereum in the past, but with its increasing user base and energy consumption, it is becoming unsustainable. Plus, they've always wanted to move to a more energy efficient tech like proof of stake without sacrificing decentralization and security. Now let's talk about the holy trinity of the blockchain technology. The 3 major concerns in the ethos of blockchain technology are its speed, decentralization, and security. Usually you can get 2 at the sacrifice of the other. Ethereum's proof of work system allows for the highest amount of decentralization and security, but at the cost of speed. Each block takes approximately 13 seconds to add to the blockchain. Vitalik has said that this is actually a feature and not a bug, and that decreasing the speed would favor those who have better connections and, in turn, centralize the network. Even moving to a more efficient proof of stake could keep transactions at this 12 to 13 second speed to keep it as decentralized as possible. Now let's talk about the merge. The merge is the next step of the Ethereum Foundation to make Ethereum proof of stake, which means that they're moving away from using miners to solve complex puzzles with the energy required to power Finland, and instead using validators to secure the network. These are like non-biased fact checkers. Non-biased fact checkers sounds like an oxymoron, right? Checking on their transactions. When enough validators come to the same conclusion, that block gets added to the chain. Anyone can become a validator, but they must stake, which means deposit and hold Ethereum on the network, which is about $96,000 at current ETH prices. So the validators will have a lot of skin in the game to make sure they act honestly. And of course, the validators would also need the necessary computer hardware requirements, which is much less than proof of work. They already have proof of stake in place and are running it on a test in the Beacon chain. And in Q3, Q4 of 2022, they plan to merge the Beacon chain with the main Ethereum chain, hence the merge. Once the merge is complete in 2023, they plan to add sharding, which will further speed up Ethereum. More on that in a later time. But let's give our brains a break and talk about where we see ETH's price going. Now let's have the ETH price discussion. With the Ethereum improvement proposal, the 1559 upgrade, or the London hard fork, Ethereum introduced a burning mechanism into its transactions, meaning that each transaction burns the base fee in ETH, therefore decreasing the amount of circulating ETH and helping to increase scarcity. This would make ETH deflationary. Now, on the other side of this battle is ETH's inflationary nature. Each transaction rewards the miner with ETH, thus inflating the supply. If the Ethereum network exceeds a certain threshold of ETH burned, it will become deflationary. In ape language, this means the number will go up. This can be tracked easily on websites like ultrasound.money and watchtheburn.com. ETH is certainly a long-time hold for us. It has established itself as being here to stay. While the price may go down in current market conditions, we foresee the value of ETH to continue to increase, with the price sure to follow. Many are holding on to the 10K price predictions in the near future, and we see it even surpassing this at some further point down the road. But for now, we recommend you setting aside those big money dreams while the market corrects and gets familiar with how to purchase Ethereum. Even if you just buy $200 worth, having the experience of using the network and researching NFTs and the various dApps will allow you to feel comfortable when you feel it's time to invest.